I'm going to be really quick on the Declan Rice stuff for two main reasons. Number one, the story's moving so quickly. And number two, I really wanted to discuss Mark Warburton leaving West Ham. And that's the real juicy story. We've all discussed Declan Rice loads. So why am I discussing it? Well, because the story's moved on, because there's actually been now an official bid. And it looks like a second bid is coming in and there's interest from another club. So that's why we're going to discuss it. Just to let you know exactly where we are, and the story is moving quickly. By the time this is uploaded, it might have changed again. Arsenal made a bid. The bid has been called embarrassing by West Ham. I mean, we got a bit of a cheek. It's not a great bid, and we shouldn't accept it. Okay, we should not accept Arsenal's bid, but it's a bit rich us calling it embarrassing by bearing in mind the way we conducted ourselves over a few players. William Carvalho springs to mind on that one. But anyway, we've made Arsenal have made a bid. We've turned it down, rightly so. Depending which newspaper you read, it's £75 million plus add-ons of about 20 million. I believe the add-ons are if Arsenal win the Premier League and the Champions League. And I'm not saying they can't win the Premier League, but the chance of them winning both, I just think if you're in that negotiation and you're going to look at that, you're going to think, well, you're unlikely to do both. So all you can really count on is the 75 million. And that's just not going to be enough for West Ham. It always surprises me, though. It's not just West Ham. It always surprises me how offended people are by a negotiation. That's all this is. It's a negotiation, some of which is being played out in the public domain. And it shouldn't be like this, but it is like this. It's a negotiation, it's an auction. That's just what's happening. Arsenal make a bid, but before they make a bid, they announce they're going to make a bid. West Ham, I guess we did officially put West Ham put Declan Rice up for sale because David Sullivan said he was for sale. But we let it be known through the press how much we want for him. They let it be known through the press how much they're willing to pay. They come in with an offer which is actually a bit more than they said they were willing to pay. It's nowhere near ours. They know it's not. It's the first offer. There's nothing to take offence about from the club's point of view or anyone else's point of view. Why the hell shouldn't Arsenal chance their arm at 75 million? That's up to them. If they want to play silly whatsits, then they can do that. But it means someone else can come in and nick him. In the same way, if we are really after Harvey Barnes and we haven't made a bid yet and someone comes in and just pays whatever Leicester's asking prices, we can have no complaints. So that's up to Arsenal if they want to do that. Is it offensive? Of course it's not offensive. It's £75 million. West Ham then come out in the press and say, that it's a silly offer and it's embarrassing. Whatever. It's all part of it. Anyway, during that time, Manchester City have declared their interest. Now, obviously, Rodri scored the goal, didn't he? Won them the Champions League. They declared their interest and they have apparently come back with £80 million plus Kalvin Phillips. The story's got a twist, but anyway, before we get to that, now we're talking, right? So they bought Kalvin Phillips for 50 million from Leeds. Now, obviously, he's no longer worth 50 million because he didn't play the majority of last season, didn't play very much at all. But even if you say he's lost 10, 15 million pounds off his value, you're still getting 80 million pounds. Even if we call him, he's worth 35 million, you're still basically getting Declan Rice is valued at 115 million. Now you're getting there. Now, I have to be honest on this Kalvin Phillips thing. In fact, I'll tell you now rather than leave it. He's pretty much said he doesn't want to come, but we'll get to that in a second. Just put that to one side. I didn't want Kalvin Phillips. I just think he's a little bit too injury prone. If you go on to, I think it's transfermarket.com, something like that, you can go and check out players' injury records. I've done it recently this season on videos. We looked at Kurt Zuma's and we looked at Said Benrahma's. No, we didn't. Why would we do that? We looked at Maxwell Cornet's. So you can see it on there, everything, every stubbed toe, every ACL, everything is on there. And it doesn't look great, and it doesn't look great at Leeds either. However, he probably was available for more games than he was given credit for last season. He just wasn't utilised. Pep Guardiola didn't fancy him. Bought him, clearly ready to offload him after a season. Doesn't fancy him that much. However, so for that reason, he's also turned us down once before. I thought, no, this is not the sort of player that I want. I got to be honest with you. Actually, no, tell a lie. playing ability-wise, yes, absolutely the sort of player. He was also captain at Leeds, and I think captaincy, for reasons I've said in other videos, is something we're going to have to need. We're probably going to have to look to possibly buy a captain, more unless a leader reveals himself within the group. You know, Tilo Kehrer, as Gio mentioned the other day, looked very good on the bus, shouting things out. But you've got to play every game, and you've got to start more or less every game. You've got to be a guaranteed starter to be captain. So that probably ruled Kehrer out. Anyway, I digress, but I'm just saying Kalvin Phillips was a captain, is it? At Leeds, they're offering him. Anyway, if we were just going to have to buy Kalvin Phillips, I would say no. Kalvin Phillips plus 80 million, I might be tempted on. Because then there's a lot of cash to go out and spend on the positions that we need to strengthen in. And you've got your Declan Rice replacement. You'd still need another central midfielder, but maybe you could go and get a different one because, I mean, Declan Rice and Kalvin Phillips, whilst they might possess some similarities as players, one thing that they're not alike about is their injury records. Declan Rice is pretty much available all the time. Anyway, as it transpires, Kalvin Phillips doesn't want to come to West Ham, which, that's fine. He's able to choose that. He wants to stay and fight for his place at Man City. And who's to say? Who's to say it won't work out for him? Grealish wasn't great in his first season. There's been a number of players. It wasn't too long ago that I felt that Bernardo Silva was out of favour, yet he got back in. I think there was a point that you thought Phil Foden wouldn't be displaced from the team, but he got out of the team and he found it hard to get back in. I think Guardiola's like that. So Kalvin Phillips probably right to stick around. There's no situation beyond redemption, I feel, at Manchester City. Unless your name's Cancelo, of course. So I sort of get that. If he doesn't want to come, again, that's absolutely fine. What it does, it makes it a little bit sticky for Manchester City. Because if that's how they were going to get him, then actually they've set the precedent, haven't they? Which is, well, you've already valued him. Let's call it 115 million. If we call it 110, you've valued him at that. So if you're not going to give the player in part exchange, then come to us with the equivalent amount of money. Makes it interesting for Arsenal. Now Arsenal have to up their bid. And apparently they are going to up their bid. Apparently they're going to up their bid to £90 million. And so they should, by the way. So they should. Arsenal will be mad to move it from 75 to 100. Of course, this is not like when West Ham were bidding for players. I think it was James Tarkowski. A few years ago, I think we bid 27 million. They turned down. Then we bid 28 million. You know, I'm not saying Arsenal should do that, but so they should go from 75 to 90. And if that doesn't work and they still want him, then they should go to 100 million. It's just a negotiation. I don't have any quarrel with it whatsoever. The only thing from a West Ham point of view is I want it to be concluded quickly so as we can go and buy players. But that's just because I want it to be concluded quickly doesn't mean I think we should accept 75 million. West Ham are doing the right thing by saying no. But come on, it's not embarrassing. Honestly, it's not. They've not offered us a pot noodle for Declan Rice. Do you know what I mean? They've offered us £75 million with some add-ons. But you know what is? It's a little bit laughable because you're thinking, hold on, Arsenal, you're really fancying yourself. You think you're going to win the Champions League and you're going to win the Premier League, and then only then we would get £90 million. No, it's not enough. Declan Rice is a magnificent player. The only thing I would say is I went and did a little video with an Arsenal channel yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Deluded Gunner, nice guy, a really nice guy. But what was interesting was listening to some of the comments on their video from the Arsenal fans. He went live with that video at exactly the same time that Arsenal had their bid turned down and Man City came in. And it was really weird listening to the Arsenal fans saying the same thing that the West Ham fans say, which is, oh, you know, typical Arsenal, we're dithering. That's what they said, we're dithering, and now Manchester City came in and going to nick the player off of us. Typical Arsenal, that's what they were saying. And I thought, well, you know, yeah, that's something we say as West Ham fans. Maybe it's just something all fans say, unless you are Paris Saint-Germain, and you just go and pay the top whack straight away and go and get that player. Maybe that's it. But anyway, there you go. There's still got a lot to run. Arsenal got a second bid coming in. How serious are Man City? Man City might not be serious. There might not even be any interest from Man City, and that's the other thing to play into this. Maybe there's no bid at all. That would all be part of negotiations, right? It's all part of it. A good part of it, to pretend. To pretend. I once had an auction stopped on something I was bidding on because the person Because the person that was bidding, the person that was selling the item, had got people to bid on that item on eBay. So they cancelled it and they banned. I was really quite annoyed, actually. Anyway, if people are going to do that on eBay, people are going to do it at any point. They can basically, it's pretending there's extra interest, there's more interested parties to create an auction, drive the price up. Who knows what's going on? I don't know, but there's one thing we do know, and this is the truth, that there has at last been an official bid for Declan Rice. My hunch, this isn't going to drag on for months. It's midway through June now. I think, I don't know anything, but I think this gets concluded by the start of July at the latest. Might be wrong.